I'm Darren.
I'm Derek, and this is the Double D Podcast. We have another interview today, a very important interview. It's the first time we get to interview a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
You know, when we started working
awesome.
with Battle on the Border, I would have never thought, hey, we're going to interview, Carson Drake. That was like a goal of ours. Got that done.
Yep.
Check mark that off. I didn't even know what the next thing was. Well, it turns out Hall of Famer. That was pretty cool to get a text message saying, hey, you guys want to interview a Hall of Famer? I was like, absolutely. We interviewed Hardcore Heather today. I was very excited, like I said, when we got this, request. She's doing a lot of things. She's a very busy woman.
Oh, for sure.
Even though she's been retired out of professional wrestling, she's still, the saying is about, what I just now realized? That is crooked. That camera is crooked.
Yeah, it is, ain't it?
Well, we're going to be, how you guys doing? Just now realized that. You can't fix it now.
I could. Really throw them off. Stand up.
halfway through would be like this part. Halfway through it corrects itself, and then we do the interview. It's back to crooked. Like, these guys are drunk. Hey, it's what happens sometimes. Don't worry about it now. Now it's got to stay crooked. Just for consistency's sake.
I kind of want to straighten it.
For consistency's
really
sake.
Blow people's mind, man.
Anyway, here's the important part. The important part is that December 12th, Battle on the Border. Still don't know where it's going to be at.
Nope.
We'll find out. We'll find out eventually, maybe. That or we're all just going to be wandering aimlessly to some event venue, hoping to go for that one. Yeah. I mean, I hope we know. He's kind of the sound guy.
I got to bring my speakers and stuff. So
the important thing is wherever it's going to happen, there's a Hall of Fame induction happening that day, and Hardcore Heather is going to be a part of it. So again,
which is awesome.
Very excited. Shane Douglas, Jeremy Blevins, I believe, is correct, right? His brother that's being inducted. I believe. I apologize.
I want to say yes.
I apologize if that's not correct, but I believe it's correct. And so there's going to be a very exciting.
It's going to be fun. Very fun event. Every event's fun, but this is going to have a little bit more. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
Just be there.
Could have just left it there instead of rambling, but it's fine. We learned. We've only been doing this for like almost 2 years.
Yeah, we already click.
Yeah, last episode.
Clicky click.
Well, it's hard. I mean, this thing has a clipper.
It's just hard not to click.
So sorry if during the Savion interview there was a lot of this going on.
We can't contain ourselves. We just click.
Right. Yeah. We are. What is it? ADHD?
Yeah.
ADHD. I'm not, but
I actually am.
I feel like it sometimes. But anyway, like I said, she's still very active in the professional wrestling community. November 4th, she's doing a show. It's called Powered Pride Pro Wrestling. It has the first ever all queer roster.
Yes.
So that's
awesome.
That's very fun. So that'll be November 4th. If you listen to the interview, she states where it's at. I apologize. I already forgot. Again, short attention span. Blame TikTok.
There's going to be beer there. I do know that.
Yeah, it's at a brewery. It's at a brewery.
It
is at a brewery here in Since Brewery. I just realized I was saying brewery. It's at a brewery.
It's at a brewery, man.
That's what I get for living in Indiana. It's at a brewery. So that's very fun. Later on, she'll talk where to get tickets. Also, my editor, if you're watching this, which I hope you do, make sure when she's put it right here. Where is it at, and where you can get ticket links. Sorry, I'm gonna have to make you actually listen to the podcast at some point. But yeah, just put it here so I don't look so foolish.
That or you can put it over my face.
Yeah, please. Actually, that's preferred. You can put something over his face all the time.
I'm the face of this. We need to put it right here or here.
Squared. She also helps put together the Squared Circle Expo, which takes place at the Wyndham Hotel in Indianapolis. See, I remember that one.
That I want to go to.
Yeah, that happens every year right around Easter weekend, the Friday and Saturday before Easter. And she sold me on the next one. I heard about it last year. I was not able to go. I didn't have a ride in order to go. And I was also busy. So I wasn't able to go this year, though. I don't have any plans yet. So I'm absolutely clearing my plans and where I'm going.
Me too.
And that'll be a podcast that that's another podcast idea.
Then we can all go down there and get drunk together and talk to some wrestlers and stuff.
Yeah, we're going to meet the wrestlers there. We'll leave who's been announced for the actual interview.
Yeah,
so you
we'll let her
just click off the interview right now, which was unbelievably rude of you to do. Because
we'll give that to her.
She was an all-time top guest, in my opinion. I always love it when the guests come on and are super talkative. It makes my job a lot easier. So thank you again to her for participating in this interview. We have no business interviewing a Hall of Famer, but yet here we are.
But then you got the Clue of the Week.
Right, so that's a big thing. December 31st, we are going to be inducting someone. We are going to be inducting somebody into our Hall of Fame, which is so stupid to say out loud now that I say it. Like, the more I say it, the more I realize, like, this is silly. But hey, we have one,
yes,
and we're inducting somebody. and it is somebody from Battle on the Border. And the clue this week is that this person knows how to act a fool. Wink, wink.
Yes.
Take that as you will. Go back and look all through all of our whole list, and you can find there's people. We've interviewed Russell Blaine. We've interviewed Denham. We've interviewed Hooks. We've interviewed Carson. We've interviewed Justin, Xavier. We've interviewed Hooks. We've interviewed people who don't even work for the company.
You just said Hooks twice.
Well, sorry. I'm trying to think of all. I don't even know who
we've interviewed. A lot of people.
So make sure we've interviewed people who don't even work with
Sergeant
Battle.
Ledbetter.
Sergeant Ledbetter still needs to answer for the cheating not too long ago during his match. But point still stands. That is the clue this week. Take that for what you will. It could be a fugazi clue.
And if you're doing your homework, you'll know.
But it could be literal. Is it Russell Active Fool Blaine? Mm-hmm. Was that a clue that was kind of supposed to be a little like, ooh, that could mean multiple things? Mm-hmm. You have to find out December 31st.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we do know who it is.
Oh, I know for a fact.
But you don't. And the person who is being inducted also knows.
Yes, but he's not at liberty to say.
No.
So don't even go and try and ask anybody that we interview.
Yeah, don't
will not
go
answer.
around messaging people because they will be like, no, it's not me, even if it is them. So don't even.
Yeah, they will not answer. So.
Well, that's enough of us talking. People did not
Let's
click on this video to hear us talk. They are sick of us talking. They want to hear Heather talk. They want to hear hardcore Heather talk.
Oh yeah.
So let's get to it. All right. So thanks for joining us today. Could you please introduce yourself for everybody?
Sure. I am hardcore Heather Owens.
All right. Now, we've first heard your name a couple of months ago, I think, at this point, when you were inducted into the Battle on the Border Hall of Fame. First off, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
How does it feel to be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
I mean, it feels great. I mean, this is only the second time Battle on the Border is doing this. So, I mean, being inducted into the second year, with two other amazing individuals, and also, being the first female is definitely an honor.
I was going to say, I mean, it is definitely. So when did you get started with Battle on the Border? What's your history with Battle on the Border like?
So I'm so bad with dates, but I believe I don't know if it was for the first Battle on the Border show, but it was definitely within the first couple. I believe they started, was it 2016?
Yes. That sounds right.
I wouldn't say. Okay. Yeah, so I was definitely there for one of for the first shows, and I was there for quite a few years until I ended up retiring February 2nd, 2019. I believe my last match there, Battle on the Border, was against Hooks in a hardcore match, and it was definitely a very bloody, fun-filled matchup. I think that was December. Yeah, it was December of 2018. So, yeah, Hooks is one of my really good friends. So it's always nice when you get to have a match, especially a hardcore type match with one of your really good friends.
How long have you been doing the hardcore type wrestling?
So the funny thing is I never did death matches, anything like that. The name Hardcore Heather was just one of those things that just growing up, I was always, the one that was into the hardcore music and just, I used to watch hardcore wrestling, but I was the one that was more street fights. And if you think WWF, like Attitude Era type ridiculous street fights, the kitchen sink, things like that, cookie sheets, garbage cans, kendo sticks, that was more my forte, I guess. Never did any of the crazy barbed wire, glass, anything like that.
So we've actually had Hooks on the podcast before. Yeah. What is your favorite weapon to use, least favorite weapon to get hit by?
Well, kendo sticks, they suck to get hit with.
Yes, that's exactly what Hooks said.
Obviously, when you're the one hitting people, it makes such a great sound, but it stings. It sucks. I hate being hit by a belt. Any of those that sting, because that pain, it lasts. It lasts a little while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, definitely those are ones that are not fun to get hit with. I'm trying to think, getting. So there was a match that it was actually against me. It was me and my husband years ago, and it was called a domestic violence match. And because when it's in the wrestling ring, it's completely legal. So. We were, looking for props and everything in the back, and I came across a science book. Ooh. So I took it out to the ring, and I had him draped on the ropes, and he had his back to me, so he didn't see what I was doing, but I opened the book, and I was reading it, and then I just, I hit him on the back with it, and he said that was one of the worst pains he have ever felt. So I guess something ridiculous like a science book would be my favorite.
I can only imagine getting hit by a science book.
Right. Oh, and it was one of those big old, fifth grade, hundreds and hundreds of pages.
I mean, man, that is some marriage counseling, right? Maybe that's marriage counseling. You don't need marriage counseling, I guess.
I mean, it totally worked because we just celebrated 15 years.
Oh, congratulations.
Marriage. So, yeah. It helps when you got to, because both of us were retired now, but we used to beat the crap out of each other in multiple states. So, yeah, definitely it helps to relieve some of that tension.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's what couples need to do. Sign up for professional wrestling and get all their anger out in the wrestling ring.
I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, divorce rates start dropping dramatically. So, well, I am very excited. Like I said, unfortunately, we've only been working with Battle on the Border officially since we just started at the beginning of this year. We went to our first show December of last year. So, unfortunately, we didn't get to see any of your wrestling in the ring. But you have been retired for a while now, and it is very nice to see that Denham has given you putting you in the Battle on the Border Hall of Fame. And just from what I've learned from him, it's very well deserved. So just wanted to get that out of the way.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I was definitely shocked when I showed up. I wasn't even supposed to be there at this past show. Hooks and my husband ended up wrestling.
Yeah.
And didn't even know, just showed up just to hang out with the boys, and haven't been to a wrestling show in quite a while. And then Denham was like, "Are you available on this day?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's going on?" I was like, "Well, I'm available, but not to wrestle. So what's going on?" And he was like, "Oh, I want to induct you." So that was a big surprise.
So since you said you've been retired since 2019, right?
Yes.
So is there anything that you miss about professional wrestling as far as being a wrestler, or is that something that you're glad that chapter is closed?
So what I don't miss is what happens bell to bell. So, the falling down part, I mean, that's the biggest reason that I had to leave the business, is because my back is all messed up. So it was just years of, falling down and all of that. So I don't miss that part of it, but I miss just hanging out in the locker room, the after parties, even the entrance, like just walking to the ring and just having the crowd reaction. Like that's the biggest thing I miss, because deep down I'm always a performer. Mm-hmm. So the wrestling part, maybe not so much, but definitely an entertainer. So I miss that. And everybody always asks, they're like, "Heather, are you coming back?" And I was like, I'm still retired. I know that term in wrestling is thrown around a lot, but I'm still technically retired. I've done a couple referee spots, and I've been in one battle royal, but that's it.
Right. So that's you're never going to make a return.
You never want to say never in wrestling. That's so right. Who knows? In a couple years, maybe I'll get that, fire under my ass again, and then I'll take a couple bumps and remember why I retired. So we'll see. But right now I'm very content because I have so much else going on, in my life right now. And I mean, I'm still involved with wrestling. So that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you about what are you doing now within professional wrestling? So
the biggest, well, I don't want to say the biggest thing, but after leaving, me, my husband, and a couple of our friends that live over in Washington, we have a company called Squared Circle Expo, and it is a yearly convention, a wrestling convention with wrestling show that we put on in Indianapolis, Indiana. It's the weekend of Easter, just Friday and Saturday, not Easter. But I mean, there is a lot that goes into running a convention. Even if it's yearly, the amount of guests and vendors and just, the wrestling show, and there's so much involved. So that's kind of the big thing wrestling related that I'm involved in right now.
I was going to say, I remember seeing a little bit, I think, about the Squared Circle Expo earlier this year, but like I said, we had just started kind of getting into independent wrestling, so we really didn't have like a whole lot of background. Can you maybe just explain to people what the Squared Circle Expo is, what it serves, what you can see there?
Sure. So what Squared Circle Expo is, it is a place that fans can go to meet a wide selection of wrestlers, past and present. For example, last year we had, oh my God, we had so many like AEW stars, Britt Baker and Danhausen, and then we had like wrestlers from the WWF days. We had Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. We had, oh my gosh, there's something for everybody. If you are a wrestling fan of any generation, we have those wrestlers there for you to meet. So you can go meet your wrestlers, get photos with them, autographs. We have seminars. People can come and just kind of watch the wrestlers, tell stories, answer questions. And then we have a wrestling show. So the last 2 years we've done wrestling shows on just Saturday night, but this is going to be our third year, and we're actually going to have 2 nights of wrestling. So Friday night is going to be more for the local talents, but then Saturday is going to be your bigger stars. So we have 2 wrestling shows going on there. And then after that, we have the after party. And everything is in the same location. So it's in the Wyndham West, Indianapolis. So once you get there, you park your car and you're good to go for the entire weekend. We did karaoke. I mean, it's an experience for everybody. And we have so many vendors. So you can buy wrestling figures there. You can buy artwork there. Old toys. It's a huge collection of pretty much anything you've ever wanted in life is there.
Wow, man, this sounds. Yeah, you sold me on it. I'm ready to go.
Sounds pretty fun to go.
Yeah. Actually, as of right now, we've only announced 3 wrestlers. Now, usually on average, I mean, oh my gosh, I think last year we had like 70 guests. But so far we've only announced 3 people, which is Kurt Angle, MJF, and Tatanka.
Hey,
so right there, you have 3 random wrestlers from like across the board generations.
Those are 3 great guests to start off with, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I think when we announced MJF, I think that really people went to the website to start buying tickets because they were ready. For some reason they want to meet him. I don't know. He scares me. He's too mean.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if I want to meet him. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna meet him. I'll talk to him. Maybe I'll be able to calm him down.
Well, good luck with that. I don't know, because I've seen some past YouTubes and stuff, and I was like, he's such a good heel, but I was like, I don't know. I've been a fat kid all my life, and I was like, I can't have like traumatic, like him calling me like a fat, like, oh, you're fat. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna cry. So
yeah, he does take things. I
can't deal with that.
Yeah, he does take things a little too far sometimes. He
told
a story.
People love it.
He told a story on Chris Jericho's podcast about how he told a kid in a wheelchair once. The kid in the wheelchair said, "You suck." MJF's response was, "Well, at least I can stand." I mean, I'm just saying that is going a little too far, in my opinion. But hey,
yeah, and I mean, I know where he will take like autographed like action figures and he'll like rip them open. I don't know. People are into that, so good for them. But I I'm gonna keep my distance.
Yeah, so you're also going to announce right now that you're hiring extra security just in
Right.
case because MJF is there.
Maybe some therapy dogs because people are gonna have to like
Yeah.
cry in a corner after they meet him.
So what does price of ticket like for that event?
So actually, as of right now, VIP. I believe VIP is already completely sold out, which is amazing. So we have package deals, and so oh my gosh, this is horrible because I'm not like the ticketing person, but I believe tickets are for the weekend for a combo. I think it's like $60 if you want to go both days. Now, mind you, this it's more at the door, but to get in, I think it's like $30 or $40 a day to get in. But all the information is on our Facebook, Squared Circle Expo, and then if you check out the website is getting updated right now, but that's at squaredcirclex.com.
All right. Yeah, we'll definitely look into that because like I said, you sold me already just on that alone.
Sounds like we're going to attention.
Dude, it's just
Okay.
it's a great time. Even if you're not a huge wrestling fan, just being around the amount of people that are there, and everyone's just having a great time.
Do they sell beer?
Absolutely, and even
Awesome.
if you
We're
so they
definitely
sell
going.
beer, and then everything is there in the hotel. So we're like the fans, the wrestlers, everybody's staying in the hotel where everything's going on. So
wow.
if you can't buy a beer somewhere, most likely someone's going to have a beer for you. So there you go.
Party.
Yeah, it's a nonstop party right now.
It is. It really is.
Well, what goes in? I mean, I don't know how deep you can go into it, but I mean, what goes into actually getting into contact with someone like MJF or a Kurt Angle? I mean, how hard is it to get these wrestlers to come to conventions? What goes into that?
Well, so before we were into the wrestling convention game, we were in the horror convention. So we met some agents, and so a lot of the bigger names, we have our go-to agents, and so we work with them, whatever their price is. We got to get them flights, all of that. But, some of the other guys, like the old school guys, like a Tatanka, a lot of the vendors, they will either give us the contact or, in the world of wrestling, at some point, somebody knows somebody. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of that.
Man, I had a question and it just slipped my mind. Give me a second and I will remember it. Oh, that's what it was. You said something about horror conventions. This is not the first time that horror and wrestling have met. I've seen this. This is a common theme. Is this something that you also notice?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what gave us the idea originally because, me and Ed were wrestlers for years and still wrestling at the time. And then the horror world, they just overlap. So we're like, when we were at the horror convention, we would book wrestlers and the wrestlers did better than most of the horror actors.
Wow.
So, it's complete because I think it's just that generation. If you grew up in the 80s, especially the 80s, but more, you can throw in the 90s and things like that. But, it was wrestling, anything pop culture, toys. Everybody's buying old school toys again. Yeah. So it was all, it's all linked together.
Well, I think also it's a great time to start a wrestling convention right now because I don't know if you feel the same, but I feel like wrestling is really on a rise right now. Wrestling's becoming really popular again.
Yeah, and honestly, AEW helped with that.
Yes. Oh yeah, right now I'm wearing a Sting shirt. Granted, I knew Sting from Impact Wrestling back when I was a kid, but then he comes to AEW and he's like 60 years old or something, and he's doing these crazy jumps off of stuff. A whole new generation of people were introduced to him because of AEW.
So real quick, though, I think it's funny, though, that you said that you first saw Sting in Impact, and it's just kind of, I don't want to assume that you're young, but I feel like you're of the younger generation.
Yeah, I'm 22 years old, so.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, because usually when people are like, oh, Sting, it's WCW. So I'm from that, I'm old.
I was gonna say,
I'm definitely from that world.
If it counts for anything, the Sting shirt I have on is a young Sting. It's a young blunt. So if that guy,
Fair.
my dad's told me all about Sting. I know some of the history of not just Sting, but the old WCW wrestling. But
Yeah.
it's nice to see that, and I think that's what we're seeing. That generation that was really into wrestling, they're having kids who are now about my age, and now they're really into wrestling, and that's what you're seeing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And it's great to see that.
Which is another reason for the convention, because, dad can come and bring the kids. So the kid's super excited to see Danhausen. And then, the dad's like, all right, well, I'm going to, meet a Billy Gunn or, somebody like that.
Of course, Billy Gunn right now, he's also extremely popular right now because of the Acclaimed. So he has younger fans too. It's just wild how the generations, like you said, they are crisscrossing right now.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to see.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So, is there anything else inside of professional wrestling that you are associated with, part of, working on?
Yes. So, the newest project is so. Just to kind of start this off, is when COVID first hit, I think a lot of people kind of had that realization, like, what do I want to do with my life? What's my better purpose? Things like that. And one of the things when COVID hit, I don't know, there was a lot going on in the news and things like that. I was like, I feel like I can make a difference somewhere. So Cincinnati Pride advertised for a opening. They're creating a position on their board. So I'm like, you know what? Let's give this a shot. Filled an application on Facebook, and they approved it, and they were like, hey, we want you part of the team. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I've been tasked with running an all-queer wrestling show, which has never been done. I'm sure it's been done somewhere in the United States, but for it to be all queer, definitely first time in Cincinnati. Right. It's a challenge because if one wrestler backs out, it is a lot harder to find a replacement than, I could just call up somebody, be like, hey, what are you doing Saturday? I need you to wrestle. Mm-hmm. So, so the wrestling show, it is November 4th. It's Friday. Oh my God, it's coming up. It's
very soon.
Oh my God, I know. So we're coming down to the crunch time. I've never ran a wrestling show before. Like, this is start to finish, booking, promoting, everything is me. Which is a lot. As a wrestler, you just kind of like to show up, get paid, do your thing, go home.
Right. Yeah.
So doing this it's definitely stressful, but I think in the long run, it's going to pay off. It's going to be great for the wrestling community, for the LGBTQ plus community. But it's called Power. It's called Power Pride Pro Wrestling. November 4th, it's at Humble Monk Brewery because everybody likes to drink. Cheers. So I figured that would be a great place to, and it's not just wrestling either. Mm-hmm. I have wrestlers booked from Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, and Michigan. And there's also going to be drag performances. So it's going to be a huge, spectacular event.
Now, historically speaking, especially when it comes to professional wrestling, and this is just from what I've heard, stories from the past, the LGBTQ community wasn't necessarily accepted in the past as wrestling. Is that culture, is that changing? Is it evolving? Pro wrestling's getting better with that?
I think, yeah, definitely. Within the last couple of years, but I think that's just society. Yeah. Not just the wrestling community. So society is more accepting of, everybody. So, and that's where we are right now. And, like people like Effie has definitely helped, put it out there. But yeah, I mean, back in the day, it's like Pat Patterson, it's like, how long did he have to go? I mean, people in the locker room, like if you worked with him, I'm sure people knew that he was gay, but, he didn't come out until when, like X amount of years ago. And he was, in his 80s. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely, I feel like it's come a long way because especially now, if you look online, there are a lot of like, gay wrestling type shows. Now, when you say gay wrestling, like back in the day, you think, oh, okay, like, that type of, back page type stuff. But no, I mean, this is just something to, celebrate who they are and they're wrestlers and So actually for the show, I try to do as much of the rainbow as I could. So I have gay, bi, lesbian, trans, and pan. I think so. I wanted to get like a non-binary and things like that, but I mean, this is my first show and kind of limited with fundage. So I'm trying to do my best, and I think so far we have a very, very awesome show booked.
Well, yeah, and then the first show is very, not to put any more pressure on you than you already have.
Oh, I
but
know.
It's
No
an important show though, because I mean this is the first, and then it'll raise awareness, and then the word will get out there, and who knows what it can grow into.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how often do you plan on having shows? I mean, is this a once a year thing, a once a month thing, or do you not? Are you going to try to gauge it, see off of this first show? Do you have any ideas?
Honestly, so with this being the very first show, as of right now, I mean, it's looking like ticket sales and things like that. It's actually going pretty well considering we're 2 weeks out, or a little under than 2 weeks out. So I mean, that's definitely going for me. So we'll see. As of right now, I'm thinking definitely yearly, maybe even quarterly. But this is not something that I plan on doing, monthly or that. That's a lot, especially with everything else that I have on my plate.
Right.
So this is just one of those, I don't want to say one-offs, but if this show goes well, definitely more in the future.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I've always said, people need to be, proud of who they are, get to show themselves off, how they want to, and hopefully raise awareness. I mean, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done when it comes to acceptance within any community, but I think this is a great step forward, and I commend you for it. I think it's a great thing you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, and the thing is too, being in the wrestling business, you meet so many different people from all walks of life. And I mean, that's one of the things that I love about wrestling is, some of my closest friends, they're, black, white, Asian, girls, boys, it's just amazing the people that you meet in wrestling. And, it's like I have friends that, live on the West Coast. And then I have friends that, Florida, just because of wrestling.
Right. I mean, I hope this show goes very well. I'm like I said, I'm excited. We'll promote it as much as we can on here. The small audience we have, we'll try to promote it as much as we can on here as well. I mean, Darren, is there anything else that you can think of that you wanted to ask?
Not that I can think of. I think I asked pretty much my questions. So.
Yeah, he only contributes like three questions at a time.
I'm not good with the interviewing. That's why I asked a few and then let him do the rest.
He just likes to sit and listen.
Yeah, I sit here and look pretty.
Well, we're in trouble then. That's why. Is there anything else that you wanted to promote while we have you on here? Excuse me.
No, I mean, just if you want to check out Squared Circle Expo, it is squaredcirclex.com. For Cincinnati, for the Pride show, if you want to check that out, front row is only $20, second is $15, and then general admission is only $10. So if you want tickets, it's cincinnatipride.org. So, I mean, the front row and second row, they are limited. So if you want to get one of those seats, definitely go get your tickets now. And then you can just check me out on pretty much all the social medias. And I am H2 Owens on Twitter and Instagram, and Heather Owens on Facebook. So check me out. I'm always doing something. I never rest.
I believe it. Yeah, you sound like
you're
you're always busy. Hey, if you ever find a chance where you're not busy, we'd love to have you on again anytime. Anytime you want to promote anything, we'll have you on.
More than welcome.
Well, awesome. Well, are you guys going to be at the induction?
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Well, then I will see you guys there.
Hey, and if you know what, well, we can do a quick little interview there if you want. I'm just throwing it out there.
So you'll just have to walk up to the sound table and then...
We'll see how many drinks I have in me first.
Well, hey, back at you.
Hey, the more drinks, the better, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, depends. Yeah, sure. I mean, hey, maybe you'll be a little bit more talkative.
Oh, I'll be a lot more talkative.
All right.
Especially when that'd be quiet sitting there pushing buttons. So that makes it a little bit more talkative once I get away from my table.
Right. Well, again, we appreciate having you on. We'll look forward to seeing you on December 12th. And like I said, anytime you want to come on, just let us know and we'll have you on.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, we'll see you.
All right. Bye.